This is Dust War Journals episode 23, your number one source for all news and discussion Dust related, and my name is Johannes. With me today are
Magnus, known as Magoff or Magwiz on the forums.
And of course, Lotta, Zaza, all out there.
Zaza Gabor. What?
No. It's the fourth time a road now. It's a little homage to the Expanse book series.
Of course. I still haven't either read the books or seen the TV show. So.
Well, I'm almost through with the third book now, and to me, reading a book a month, that's extremely good. So I'm really picking up the pace right now.
All right.
I have fourth book lying over there. I can't wait to get into it.
Very cool. I know
nice.
for me, I'm very bad at keeping up with pop culture when it's new. Well, the exception is basically Marvel movies. I always see all the Marvel movies when they come out.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm like years behind on books and TV shows, especially TV shows. Me and my wife are just now starting to binge Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
I guess that could explain some things.
Yes.
Like my new haircut.
Definitely.
If people have seen that. I've actually shaved myself. So it's not really because of Breaking Bad. It just happened to coincide, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, and you do have some resemblance again with the main character. So
Yeah, we actually mentioned a few days ago, latest, my wife actually has a few kind of similar facial features to Skylar White, his wife, as well.
Okay.
So we kind of, perfect kind of cosplay for Halloween or something. So yeah.
we look forward to that.
Yeah. So if you wonder where I get all my money for models from, don't ask.
No. It's your special project. In the
exactly.
basement.
We all have our ways to fund our addiction.
Of course.
Definitely.
So has there been any kind of hobby time now in the summer heat that's sweltering over us here?
For me, it's been kind of difficult because it's so hot here. We northerners, I don't know about you guys, but this is too hot for me. It's been crazy, but I have continued tinkering a little bit, like I told you last episode, with my British commandos and sort of paratrooping force. It's going slowly but steadily, basically. And a couple of weeks ago, we also managed to play a huge armored battle. It was quite fun, actually. I saw different places on the web, on the internet, that people were doing this, and we thought, yeah, why not? This seems like a fun idea. So, unfortunately, none of you guys could join that particular battle, but we still had a blast. We played 400 points each side, with only vehicles, aircraft, and hero pilots being allowed. So no like infantry running around.
Yeah, saw the images and it really looked fantastic.
Yeah, it was really cool, actually, and it was a really tense battle. I was playing the Axis. Me and Mats were playing the Axis together. And unfortunately we lost, but it was very close. We kind of was, running behind all the way, and we almost managed to catch up, but then the game ended. So,
but it's no surprise because you were playing against Allied M4s, and you can't beat those, as we know.
We were playing against allies, everything basically. He had everything.
Yeah. So
And it
was
was-
just SI you were playing against, or
Yes.
And he just brought a small part of his Allied force.
Yeah, exactly.
400 points
he
or
really
something.
had to keep it down to just squeeze in that 400 points.
Yeah,
So,
I feel so bad for him, only having to bring 400 points.
Yeah.
No, but
that was cool. I want to do that sometime again.
yeah.
And just the past weekend, me and Johannes and also Mats joined in a little bit later with demo gaming at a small convention in Varberg called WarCon.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was really nice. Lots of nice people there, and hopefully we managed to get a couple of new people into the game.
Some new recruits.
Yeah, it seemed like that on the webpage on Facebook, that there were people who had been there and appreciated it. That's why I jumped on that bandwagon as well. Just it wasn't much, but I given away one of those what they call the archaeological pits that you get from the Facebook from the Kickstarter and one of the medical bays, just so that the new guy there could get going a little bit more. We should try to get in touch with him and send those stuff, because to me it was War Journals doing it, not me, so to speak.
Yeah, that's super nice, and they were nice people, and I hope they get into the game quickly, and that we will see them on future events and stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I like to pick up now on that 200 points, which should have been 200 point armored point battle that you were having, because it was 400 points when you played it, but it was supposed to be 200 points. And me and Mats had talked about it. We should have had like a mini tournament, and we would have only 200 armored points, and we would play the 111 scenario in the rule book and stuff like that. And for me, since the last episode, my hobby time started like shit. Everything has went sour. I got sick. Everything was getting complicated. I'm extremely happy because I have my daughter a little bit extra now, because her mother is having her second baby, so she's with me now, my daughter, for some extra days, and that is of course good. But I'm supposed to be as you also, but you turned sick until recently, Johannes. We should be at Robocon right now.
Yeah, and I'm actually still a bit sick. I'm not completely 100% well. So
yeah, so you keep on your side of the table, okay?
But so basically, well, having my hobby time being like fucking awful, and also my vacation lying 1 week sick and stuff like that, I was just really getting pissed about everything. Then suddenly everything started turning, because apparently Mats wasn't satisfied after he played you, so he came around and we played a 200 points armored game, and we did it gridless, because I just wanted it to play on a bigger surface, because I thought we could have more maneuverability, and I suggested it. He had never done it. He went okay with it. We of course did not play with those new fucking rules that are just shit that came out from the Condor thing. Let's not talk about those. No, but they're fucking useless. And so we played something like the V2 or early V3 gridless kind of mishmash, what we wanted.
Yeah, but if it works for you, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we had so much fun. At least I think he had fun as well, because in the beginning, the first 2-3 turns, he totally mauled me over. I was like, he took out every Russian tank just looking at it. It was just fucking crazy. He looked at a big Russian tank and he just went, okay, here's a Ludwig, I'll pop you up. And they're like, you can only do 3 damage, but you do 8 or something. I don't know. It was fucking hilarious.
Some kind of laser Ludwig?
Yeah, I don't know what he did, but he was. And then I didn't, of course. As always, I don't give a shit about rules. So he was all of a sudden he said, okay, I just have to take 2 more points and then I win the game. And I was like, oh shit. So I started rushing my tanks left and right. And by some
miracle?
SSU miracle, when we ended the game, I thought I won by 2 points or something like that, because I managed to kill a Jagdloot or something in the end. And that was just like tipping and I was like, whoa, did I? I have nothing left, but still, I managed to. So,
very nice.
Yeah, but that was not it. If I go on a rant now, because I could probably take up the next time of the pod, but just with my hobby time. Well, I won't do it too much, but I've started painting my Bloodkreuz. You have seen my converted Wolfgang. Mm-hmm. And I've also painted some of those Suicide Squad zombies. I'm in the midst of converting my Votan 2, and I'm actually still confident that before the month ends, it will be finished as well, so I will have enough points to be in the competition for the Paint 1 point a day competition.
Great.
It will be by the skin of my teeth, but I still think I can manage it.
Very cool.
You have a few days left.
Yeah, I know. And also, but I like to also just kick in here, because I think that was very fun for me. Of course, you can read about it on the Swedish Facebook Dust page, but if you don't do that, so I actually got to play the Jakov platoon, the one with the bunker in it, against Martin, who just came by the other day. And we had a 125 points game rehearsal for Linköping, LDD 6, I think it is.
Oh yeah, that's when you called me for rules clarifications.
I felt
And
bad.
me.
I felt bad for both of you. So we wanted you to be involved, and we phoned you a bit because we had some crazy shit. I mean, reactive fire with a grenade launcher. That's not. I mean, a mortar. I mean, reactive fire with a mortar is not every day happening.
Yeah, that's true.
But I still recommend you guys play with Jakov Strong. What's it called? The Strong Platoon. The Strong. What the fuck?
Yeah, the one with the bunker, basically. Yeah,
because it was super interesting charging.
I would very much like to do that, especially now since I finally have the bunkers.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that's been eluding me for the longest time, and then one of our local stores here in Sweden actually had a sale that included the bunkers, finally for a price that seemed okay to me for what those things are.
Yeah, they are very special, so you will not use them too often. But,
exactly, but now finally, okay, now I just have to pull the trigger, so now I got all 3 of them.
Yeah,
so I'm very happy about that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that out sometime, just because it's such a different way to play.
Yeah. And it was quite hard because, he had, of course, being Martin, he had 2 super tanks as well.
Yeah.
So we had the Mao and the Laverna and the Strong Point. And then when I finally managed to kill that motherfucking Tesla crew inside, he takes his Yakov and his squads into the bunker. Because, and then it turns fucking crazy. Even if it's just a Strong Point, he saves on anything but hash.
With rerolls and damage resilience.
Yeah, and then he rolls
my
3
God.
rolls for the strong points, and then he re-rolls for the damage resilient. But then, okay, finally, my zombies get to him, and they start putting themselves around the stronghold, because I'm like, there's zombies everywhere. But they hit him in close combat. What happens then? Well, first he saves, of course, with the stronghold save of a nation symbol, and then he saves with the damage resilience in close combat. So it's 2 fucking saves in close combat. So and he has 5 lives, and he has a squad of 5 guys with him. So, I mean, it was like, fucking mad. But of course, the big success was, I must say this once more, because I don't think he has gotten the credit enough. To me, at least, it was Roger who got onto the thought that how you play with light walkers and use them to build bunkers of your own. So I used my what are it called, the small ones with the anti-air Heinrich.
Oh yeah.
And terrain and Heinriches, I managed to build my own bunker, so I could charge out of my own bunker, so to speak, and then assault him, and then so
you're talking about Rex, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to give away too much. People have to think a little bit for themselves. But,
Actually, something I would like to point out, because I've seen in a couple of discussions online, is that people seem to forget the clearing action. That any vehicle in the game can remove any wreck in the game.
That's true. That's so true.
So all of you people out there who did not know or forgot about this, look it up in the rule book, the clearing action. And also some vehicles actually have the dozer blade, and I think the Mickey ARV have the crane ability or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but those are actually even better. They remove wrecks on 2 symbols instead of just 1. So like Punisher, for example, with the bulldoze, they are really good at doing it. They just push them aside, basically. So
that's true.
Don't forget that. Just because there are wrecks, you're gonna have a bit harder time, probably, but it's not impossible. You're not locked in just because of that.
And that's why every Axis player should have that super cheap Berglooter Walker. It's 4 fucking points. You got 2 machine guns and the ability to remove obstacles and everything.
It's nothing special really, except for that dozer blade. Yeah, exactly. It's cheap, and that dozer blade can really help you out when your big Königsluthor is kind of locked
Stock
in.
or something.
You don't want to waste the Königsluthor action. If you have the Berglooter, you can just push stuff aside.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And
That was
going
nice.
on, perhaps some things. Also, well, I just like to mention one thing as well. I've also, because I thought I was going to play SSU again at Linköping, but most likely not. It would probably be the Beloit now. I managed to put together 3 of those PT-47Bs also. So I have a light armored list now for SSU that I so look forward to, because now it's done, so to speak, at least built. I'm going to paint it as well, but I will have an all armored list. Everything will be rolling when the game starts.
That's cool.
That's all
cool.
infantry will be inside armored transports.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like that idea.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time.
But the really important question is there, have you selected any soundtrack that you're going to play at the beginning of the game?
Well, I've chosen a few of the songs I will perform myself, to the annoyance of my opponent. Because, but the problem for me is that I would like to perform them in Russian, of course, and I still don't speak Russian, so a defect of mine.
Right.
But perhaps you will help me with doing the vocals on the.
We'll see what we can do about that.
Yeah, see if you can make a deal with his wife. She can teach you some Russian. I think.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Right. As for me, like you said, I've been away on holiday for a week. I've been sick for almost an entire week, but I still one kind of one good thing about being sick is that I wasn't that sick that I couldn't paint. So I actually managed to get some painting time in. Not with dust stuff especially, but I managed to pick up some skills I think that will be useful later on, because I spent 2 days painting an Imperial Knight for Warhammer. And I was just surprised as how fast I was able to do it and how well it turned out. And it kind of was a very good confidence boost for my painting skills, and it also taught me a specific technique that I definitely will be able to use with the big like Japanese walkers when they come out.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I can actually tell you right now what I did, because usually when you dry brush, you're told you want to use kind of old dried out paints, or just as little as possible. You want those thicker paints. I went the complete opposite direction. I dry brushed this with Valeo's miniature, the air model paints. So specifically the airbrush paint. So very, very fine, very fluid, and it sounds weird to dry brush with that. The thing is that the effect that I saw was it gave a very different type of finish. Because normally when you dry brush with those specific dry brush paints, you get kind of chalky, dusty look.
Yeah.
With this, it instead became kind of a sheen. It like a soft, kind of a slightly worn look. So it looks very different and really, really cool. So that would, I think, look perfect for those big, super heavy walkers. And maybe not as much for tanks, because then you want that kind of grimy look in most cases.
That sounds interesting. I've never tried that.
Yeah.
It sounds like sort of a mix between a wash and a dry brush. I don't know.
Something like that. And I'm very happy with the result. And it looks a lot more advanced than it actually was. And that's always cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. When you find those techniques that can make you...
Johannes is showing me a picture here of it. And it looks really nice, actually. I think that could work very well for dust models.
Yeah, I see no problem with it either. I think you... And it was fun that some people on the thread that you posted this thought you had airbrushed it.
Yeah.
I like that comment. So
and I actually didn't. The only thing I did was I spray painted the silver base, the prime. And then everything else was with normal brushes.
Yeah. Oh, it's super cool. So... I'm looking forward to see your Japanese walkers later on. And,
that's kind of my hope, is that as soon as the Japanese comes, I want to have a painted Japanese army as quickly as possible. And I already know I want it to be blue. So this, because it is the Navy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I want. So
Yeah, it
I
works.
have kind of some plans for it already.
Then you're ahead of me. I just know I need everything from the Japanese army. I don't know still how I'm going to afford it, but I just know this is the army I have to invest in. Other stuff that it's just I have to invest in it, but I haven't have a color yet. I'm just rambling, so fuck it, get on with it.
Okay, we have one small detail also that I think we should mention. That's Magnus actually
Yeah,
managed to get a hold of something really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I've been looking around for the old Dust board game for quite some time, and just a couple of weeks ago I managed to get hold of it actually.
So if people don't know what this is, could you explain it?
Yeah, it has nothing to do really with the Dust 1947 or the miniatures games. This is a board game, a strategy board game where you have a like world map and you put out small miniatures, really small.
So it looks a little bit like Risk
Yeah,
or Axis and Allies or something like that.
It's in that category. You put out a lot of troops on the world map, and you try to dominate, score points for stuff, and in the end, the one that reaches a specific victory points number is the winner, basically. And I haven't played it yet, and but I've read a lot about it, and. I think it looks really fun. The kind of thing that struck me immediately was that, I mean, this game is fairly old by now. I think it was released like in 2007. And the Dust theme of it is quite thin, so you don't really play any specific block. You don't have specific abilities depending on what you play. And since I've been playing the miniatures games for a long time, I immediately felt like this should really have a little bit more of that flavor in it. So I kind of started to invent stuff that someday I hope we can try this and play, so you could actually play an SSU or an Axis or an Allies army, and some differences. You will have some special abilities that the other guys don't have.
Yeah, and we have a few guys in our vicinity, so to speak, that has 3D printers. So if you want and you need special extra units, for instance, to have that Tesla unit or that zombie or whatever it is, you ought to be able to get hold of something quite reasonable.
That could be an idea, but as it is, you get a lot of units in this game.
Okay.
There are bags for each player with colored troops, and I think there are something like 130 small models for each player. So there's something like 800 models in this. They're very small, but they are cool looking anyway. So
good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this game.
Yeah, hopefully we will be invited to christen it or something like that.
And for Paolo and anyone out there, if you have any, plans on re-releasing this game, doing another version, you have my thumbs up. I think it's going to be awesome if you did this, and I will definitely buy a second edition of this game if it ever comes out.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. I had been looking at it with one eye, so to speak, in the old days. In that time, it was a little bit too much like a Risk game, or it was like the Risk game, and that's not one of my favorites. So I love the Axis and Allies version of the same type of game, or the Fortress America and stuff like that. But the Shogun, the old Shogun from Milton Bradley and stuff like that.
From what I've read the rules and some stuff online, and in my opinion, it's more like the old Shogun or Ikusa Samurai Sword game, more like Fortress America or Axis and Allies, less like Risk, because it has different types of units, and it's like resource management. You have to decide what to build when, and also you have cards that gives you special abilities and stuff. So it's you play a card each round, which kind of dictates exactly what you can do, and that card also gives you once per turn special ability, basically.
Great. Because then that is, of course, the ultimate game for them to revamp. And on the next version, Paolo and Ollie and everyone else, you need to have it as a possible campaign map game, because what you do is that every time your troops engage in a square, you take it to the gridded version and you play an actual game of it. Because every unit has a total point value of something. So you have like an infantry unit moving on the world map is 10 points perhaps or something, or 100 points or whatever. And then you can convert it to your regular dust figures and you play the game. And
that would be awesome to have a board game that would also incorporate some kind of campaign for the miniatures games. That would seem really awesome, actually.
Yeah, we did that once, but only once, unfortunately, because we didn't get it to flow as well with the Axis Allies miniature games, because that's hexagonical, almost like Dust, the grid game, but it's hexagons instead. And we played like, if you go into a square, we try to set that up to be if it's a war, you set it up on the Axis and Allies miniature game map. And
the problem seems to be that game is going to go on forever, basically. So you have
the problem. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but the problem is it will go on forever.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah, what the fuck,
sorry, I forgot about the endless war.
Yeah, even if that is ending now, and perhaps we're jumping the gun on this points we're going to talk about, but still. That would be just so fucking amazing that you can just okay.
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. Let's go talk about some news. Some new releases. We got a new version of the Black Hawk in the Premium Babylon pattern.
Yeah.
So classic Allied Walker. Personally, we talked about this before. I love the look of the Black Hawk. It's just so menacing and cool.
Yeah.
So I would love to see more versions of this with different armaments. We've seen some on Facebook, some kind of variants, some homemade.
That's
recently. So
because this is I can't really think of any other walker that only has one type of weapons for it. Almost every chassis has at least two.
Yeah, definitely. And
so I think, and I hope they will release more versions for this chassis because it looks awesome.
Yeah, and now that it's got new legs, the old Black Hawk miniatures are going to be perhaps a rarity. So you who just have your old Black Hawks, keep hold on them because they will be very special in a few years if they don't start reprinting those legs as well. Because and that I think will be cool at this. Yeah, we have perhaps that will be the 1947 Black Hawks. They are the one with the legs of the older, and then these are coming 48 or something like that.
Yeah, like early version and late version.
Yeah, could be. Next up, we have Justin and Company number 3. So this is the Mercenary Mechanic Squad. So kind of the third version of this. It's nothing really new rules-wise with these girls. What is new is, I don't think the poses are completely new either. What is new is that I think that this might be a plastic kit rather than a resin kit. And the reason I think this, before I've actually seen the model, is that this is the first version of this group of models that is available primed. They've only been available as model kits and premium before.
That's so true.
And I don't think they have done any primed resin figures up till now, at least.
I don't think so either.
No.
Not as far as I know.
So to me, that says that these are plastic.
Yeah, it seems very plausible. And I think the sculpts are, of course, beautiful. But we have had that discussion too many times, so let's just keep on going, I say.
So let's keep on going to the Eradicator. It's the new small vehicle for the Cthulhu cultists. I personally really like this one. It's another armored car. It doesn't have very much armaments. It's just a single machine gun. Very simple. It does have the scout rule. So depending on scenarios, depending on conditions, it can be very effective. And it's also 4 points, which means that you could potentially run quite a few of these and not have that big of an impact on the rest of your army. The question is if you want to. There's been some discussions on Facebook. Is this actually worth it? It only has one machine gun. It's a small light vehicle. It's only vehicle 2. It only has 3 hit points. I think one of the things that people miss about this is that it is a small vehicle and what that actually entails. Because
Exactly.
if you look in the rulebook, small vehicles do get a cover save
Yeah.
even when they are not in cover.
Yeah.
Because they are harder to hit because they're small.
Yeah.
So this is basically a moving tank trap.
Yeah. You could
Yes,
use it.
and also they work a little bit differently concerning line of sight.
That's true. They do not block line of sight.
Which is also important. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the kind of two-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because the opponent can see past the small vehicle, and you can also see past that small vehicle. So you can really try to use that in your favor. So you can use it, like you say, like a moving tank trap, but at the same time, you can use it, you can move your bigger pieces out of cover and kind of shoot past it.
Yeah. So there is a lot of tactical uses for this car. The big kind of drawback with it is, of course, that this is an elite-only premium model, and it's a bit expensive, unless you, of course, buy the model kit from somewhere else and you just build it and dustify it yourself, of course. Because this is something that I think I would like to run like 2 or 3 of these in a cultist army. I have this kind of idea that I want to make a cultist army based on the armored cars, the infantry, and maybe like 2, maybe 3 of the smaller, like the Migo squads or something like that. Make it feel like like a small invasion force, basically.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really, really cool army to play both with and against. And a very different feeling from the big hulking monsters.
No, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is very good to use for that. Of course, it will blow up if anything anti-tank even sneezes at it, but that's not really the point. The point is that this is supposed to annoy the opponent.
Yeah, this isn't a tank; it's a car, so you can't really rely on it to survive. But they can be an annoyance, and since they are fast enough, they can also be used to, put some pressure on a point. Like, okay, I'm over here now, and if you don't do anything about it, I will grab the objective.
Yeah, so it could force your opponent to use some bigger unit to take care of this car instead of your other bigger stuff or infantry or whatever you have.
And when they only hit you once and you do that save, and the frustration could really grow.
Yeah.
It's the second small vehicle except from the BA that is in the game also, so it makes it also a little bit special. And
yeah. And I think that's probably the reason why we haven't really covered the small vehicle rule before, because it's so few units that actually use it. But hopefully we're going to see some more in the future, because it is an interesting mechanic that kind of shifts around the tactics a bit. So it's a very cool and interesting unit to me. And of course, like I've said before, I personally love this kind of World War I style camo. It's very thematic and cool to me.
Yeah, I like it as well.
Final release for this month has been some new patches to put on your army bags or your jacket or whatever you have. So there's been quite a few of these. First off was the Rangers and the Cowrie platoon. So we're going to see some patches released not only for the blocks, but also for specific platoons, which is really, really cool.
Definitely.
And now, just a few days ago when we're recording this, we had another for the Endak faction, the Spetsnaz faction, and the Sand Hyenas platoon for the Endak.
Oh, I actually missed that one. I have to check that up then. It's good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So hopefully we are going to see, well, basically all of the factions and all of the platoons at some point, so you can really let your flag fly and show your support for your team.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's really, really nice. All right, Then we also got a bunch of previews of upcoming stuff. There's of course, there's Gen Con coming up in the US. Unfortunately, none of us are able to attend, but we do know some stuff are going to be released in conjunction with Gen Con. The release date there is August 2nd, so it might already been passed when you're listening to this. But there's a ton of stuff coming out. Some new scenery, the big Cthulhu shrine, which looks fantastic.
Definitely.
I've been in love with all of the Cthulhu-themed scenery so far. This is the biggest one I think they've released in this range yet. Looks very, very cool. We have the Magda and the Flamingo. We've talked about this unit before. Also one of those very exciting new releases that I think since it's a mercenary unit, everyone can use this. So I have a feeling that this is going to be a very popular kit.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be interesting. And we'll see. Maybe next episode we will talk a bit more about this strategy because Magda has some really interesting abilities.
We're going to go more in depth about that next episode. But I love the concept that you have a skill that does two different things depending on how you utilize it. So we're going to be more in depth about that next episode. Next up, we have Gregor, the Blutkreuz experiment, or Gregor the Defector. So it's the monkey hero that we've seen previous pictures of. It's the specific 10-year anniversary model.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, really, really cool. And it's going to be available both as a Blutkreuz access card and as a mercenary card. So everyone can be able to use this model. Very, very interesting model and very interesting rules.
It looks absolutely awesome, and I think from what we've seen, it has really nice skills and everything. It's going to be super interesting to see how this works out.
Yeah, it's going to draw a lot of attention.
Yeah,
just like the man himself.
Then we have two army boxes, and it's the same kind of in conjunction with the patches for the Spetsnaz and the Endak. Now we have the army boxes for the Spetsnaz and the Endak. And just to go through these very quickly, the Spetsnaz box has the Invader Chopper, and it has the Kill Squad, the Saboteur Squad, and the Sniper Squad.
Yeah.
So a very, very good starting point if you want to play the Spetsnaz.
Yeah. That and a Rosa platoon and you're set to go. I mean,
you're golden.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel the same way if we go with the Endak army box, because you get the Tropical Loki, you get the Tank Hunter Squad, the Recon Squad, and the Mortar Squad. Yeah. And this is also, I feel, a very, very good starting point for the Endak army. You get the Loki, which kind of take care of the anti-air support. You get the tank. You get the Tank Hunter Squad, which basically is the best unit in the game for the Axis, the best infantry unit in the game for the points. You get the Recon Squad, which has the sniper and the artillery observers, and of course the Mortar Squad to use in conjunction. And I think what actually makes this box is that combination, because the Mortar Squad to me is essential for the Endak. And not just because of the artillery itself that can of course be devastating to enemy infantry.
But it's the smoke.
It's the smoke. That's incredibly important if you run a very infantry heavy army.
Yeah, all of these units are just staple units for the Endak. And
so I could even say, if you want to play an Endak army, buy two of these.
Yeah,
definitely. That's so true.
I mean,
so true.
even if you are not playing Endak, you could play a mixed army. You don't have to go by the faction. These units are all like valid units by themselves, basically.
That's true, and that's true for both of these boxes, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So they are very good boxes for anyone playing that block. You don't need to go faction actually with these.
No, definitely not. So.
Then we have the Raketentruppe Tank Hunter Squad. We're also going to talk a bit more about all these more detail, but this is one that I've personally been waiting for. This is like the last piece to get a functioning Raketentruppe Luftwaffe army going.
Yeah, this is also a nice unit, and it has been a lot of people have been waiting for this unit for some time. It's a sort of, I don't know, the last puzzle piece maybe for the Luftwaffe.
And it's been a bit annoying because the Raketentruppe with the big Panzerschreck, those reusable rocket launchers, the art for them has been available since the start of the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So it's been a long wait for a lot of people. Now they're finally going to arrive, so that feels great. Next up, the Heavy Grenadier Headquarters box. This is very simple. It's Lara and it's the Heavy Grenadier Command Squad.
Yeah, simple box.
Yeah, and very good units.
Yeah, definitely.
I was kind of hoping there would be something, I don't know,
New.
something extra, but at the same time I can't really
Say what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are they supposed to put in it as extras? I don't know about that. That was just a personal preference or hope from me. I've been playing these Heavy Grenadiers for a long time, and they are some of my favorite models. They look super cool, so I was just really hoping for something new in it. But at the same time, these two are also very usable in that type of army.
Yeah, and since they removed the command abilities for Laura and stuff when they remade her, and I mean, of course, one more hero that would have some command abilities that you could stick into a regular Panzer squad or something, Fliegerfaust squad or something like that, that would have been super good if they would have put in that box. I totally agree with that. They could have made one of those like hard to kill guys, but who didn't do anything. They just were.
Yeah, I don't know, just an extra hero doing something cool. I have no idea, but still.
Perhaps it will arrive in the years to come.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Then we get two re-releases basically with some units that's previously been released in separate boxes but now combined together. So we have the Sturmluther, Prince Luther Stummel box. So transport walker for the Axis basically. And this is also interesting if you want the turret in order to build the Nordwind, which is really, really cool. You use the Puma model kit and you put on one of the Sturmluther or Prince Luther turrets and you get one of those. I love those units personally. So very cool to see this, and especially the Sturmluther Prince Luther was available in the old FFG boxes together. The Stummel was not, so it's nice to see that you can get all three variants together in one box finally.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in that box.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think too few are using the Stummel. I don't know where it's gone, but the Stummel is one hell of a walker. Yes, it has a weak armor class, and you could kill it quite easily if you have a big super tank, but it packs so much punch that it should be used, and points value, it's great point value for the Stummel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it has a lot of machine guns, and especially that howitzer.
Yeah.
That howitzer is really good.
Yep.
People, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people are underestimating the Stummel.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really see a lot of play. It's a tad more expensive, but that howitzer is...
Yeah, he can do everything.
It's no joke.
Almost.
It's no joke.
Definitely not. Well, okay. Yeah. I don't play SSUs. I mean, I don't play Axis that much, and then when I do, I play Bloodkreuz, so I can't use it because I can't have the zombies in it.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be too good.
all three of I can't remember how many in total of this type of walker I have. I think I have 1, 2, 3 at least, maybe 4 even. And well, right now I'm working on my allies, but I've been eyeballing this on my shelf for some time now, so I'm gonna put some paint on these and get going with that type of army.
Yeah, and if I just can jump in there, because it just reminds me of that wonderful game I had up in Linköping with Eric and Essa when I played a lot of these, and I used them, like the old warships, the sailing warships, because I went up and I what do you call when you do
broadside them?
Yeah, broadside them. I just went up and I hammered his opponents with the guys that I had inside the transport walkers, and it was so fun. And he actually I managed to do it 1 or 2 swipes right and left, so he was like, "Oh fuck, stop this!" I mean, sorry, yeah, well, it was a good game.
Yeah, it's fun. And the final box, the Natasha and Anatoly SSU walkers, the Tropical KV-47s. So another kind of instance of units that previously been available in separate boxes are now combined into one.
So good, so good.
Also a nice box.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to look forward to, definitely. So, and another new kind of development for the game and for the community, there's a new podcast out there. Radio Free Sverograd. Yeah, it's newer player by newer players, basically. So not really new to wargaming. These guys, of course not. If people are familiar with Radio Free Istvan, I think it's called, right?
Yeah, I think they've been playing for like 30,000 years as well, these guys, for something like that. So they seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah, but now they're dipping their toes, so to speak, into Dust 1947. Really, really nice. So,
yeah, it shows great judgment that they also go for Sverograd, of course.
Yes.
So they know the core. Perhaps they even, if they want to go 100% old school, but perhaps they don't want to, they would be Radio Free Iceland or something like that, or so Radio Free Antarctica. So I mean, sorry, you know what I was going for. But
it's nice. I've been listening to their, I think all of their episodes by now, and it's very lighthearted and nice to be listening to. I've been sitting painting a couple of evenings, and it's a nice one.
Yeah, soon we perhaps should have some reference page because it's starting to pop up now, a few podcasts. So if you go to one page, you get links to all of the different podcasts about Dust now, because the Australians are still doing it, aren't they? I haven't been listening to them.
They haven't released an episode in a while, but I'm not sure if they are.
I don't felt that they were dead. I mean,
they haven't said from what I've seen that they are calling it quits. So I just think they are kind of laying low for the moment.
So it's
that's also a nice one.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's very, very, very. Okay, next point. Come on, guys. It seems like, I was out 6 hours yesterday with my daughter in the woods when it was 34 degrees in the sun, and we were walking for 6 hours, 1 mile. You guys seem a little bit out of breath.
Well, I have an excuse.
It's too hot for me. No, there was also this discussion that just came up. I posted some rules. Some rules tips and some rulings that we've got in the past for the Radio Free Sverograd guys.
Yeah, the Rhino one.
Hopefully they take it the right way. I'm just trying to help them out a little bit after listening to them. There's some, kind of pitfalls in the rules, and most of us have fallen into those over the years. So I was just trying to help out. So there was a discussion about the Rhino platoon. Almost 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, I played the Rhino platoon a lot, and a few questions came up fairly quickly, and I tried to find answers for them, and I emailed Dust Studio, and I got some answers directly from Olivier about this. So the answers that I posted, I did not, come up with them myself or anything. I got them from Olivier. Maybe he's changed his mind now. I have no clue about that. But that's where they came from, in case you're wondering. Yeah,
and I chipped in there on Facebook, just because you are not on Facebook, Magnus, and people perhaps don't know you too much. So I just tried my usual kind of outspoken way. I was just mouthing off a little bit.
Yeah, you don't do subtle.
No, definitely not. Why? What's the fun of being fucking polite and PC and everything? Someone has to be out there. I mean, and that's the contrast between me and Magnus. When we're playing together, I mean, on the friendly side, Magnus can be even more outspoken than I am, and I can be the subtle one. But here in this internet forum or in the podcast forum, it's like I'm the one just mouthing out of my ass, so to speak. And if Magnus plays something on the internet, at least it's my knowledge of the way how he acts, that guy. He has triple checked it. So, of course, you can't say what is the official rules because you're not the official rule maker, but when you speak that you have got it from the official source. I for myself could just say anything just because I feel like it. So that's the difference between us. And Johannes is keeping us in check and trying to.
I'm trying to be the arbiter, basically.
And you do that very well.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't remember the last time me and Magnus actually fought, So you're doing a very good job, Johannes.
Thank you. All right.
But basically, should we just do the rule on the Rhino platoon
I think
everyone
that's
knows
good.
that
so just what the actual question was.
Yeah.
There are even more questions actually about this platoon that came up when I was playing it, but the first is like 2 points basically. When the platoon advantage says that when any unit in this platoon hits something in close combat, you can trigger the ability, and the ability says that you can choose either Rhino or one of the assault squads. The
formerly Hammers.
Yeah, formerly known as Hammers. And that unit will activate, and they can charge the same enemy unit that you just hit, and they can just try to keep hitting it. Yeah. So my question to Olivier was if I can choose a unit that has already been activated. And the answer was 100% clear on no, this ability does not include any type of reactivation. So you have to choose a unit that has not activated this turn. The second part is, can I trigger the ability again with this just activated unit? So like to get kind of a third activation in a row. And the answer was also no, you can't do that. That answer was actually a little bit, I would say, ambiguous, because I posted several different scenarios. Can you do this, or how does this work? And the answer I got was just no, you can't do it. Like any of it. That's at least how I interpreted it. Maybe they've changed their mind on that. I'm not 100% sure on that. So I would suggest posting questions to the
the official email.
Yeah, they have this. I can't remember what it is right now. It's probably on the Facebook page somewhere.
It is. And Greg made a reference to that as well in the thread on the Facebook page.
And anyone at it playing this, I would also suggest posting a question that I never got an answer to really. If you choose a unit that is not activated yet when you trigger the ability, what happens if that unit is, for example, suppressed, and you fail to remove the suppression token because the ability says that the unit must charge, and if you are suppressed, you will only have one action, so you can't charge. So you're in a kind of limbo there. You have to do something, but you can't do it. So,
but that's also a spin-off for something else that I also is curious about, and I have an objection, because to me it seems clear that you always have to do a march move to get the charge. But when you are limited to only making a move, that's still, to me, I think that should be as making a charge, because you do the most move you can for your situation. So if you're suppressed, I think you should be able to move and make a close assault.
Yeah, but the second problem in that is that if you are suppressed, you can't initiate close combat.
No, that's only stunned.
No. If you are suppressed, you cannot initiate close combat.
Initiate, but you can
defend yourself.
Of course,
if you are attacked.
That's good. That's great. Yeah, sorry, I mixed those two words together.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so true. So true.
There is a problem if you choose a unit and you fail to remove the suppression in that case. And I have really no idea. Can you even choose a suppressed unit? I don't know.
So that is kind of an edge case, but I do understand where the question is coming from.
It happened to me, I can tell you that. It happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think actually it was in a game against you, Ludwig. I was in that situation, and I failed. What does this unit do? Does it do like nothing actions, or can I even move it at all? Can I use my one action to do something else? I have no idea.
Well, if your units were suppressed, it was very plausible that it was against me you were playing. I sincerely understand where you're coming from here, because then you're usually suppressed all the time.
I think it was on one of these Gothenburg dust days that we had back then. I don't know. I still have no official answer at all on that suppression question, so I have no idea how that works.
And I understand that I can see the balance in only activating one, triggering only one extra attack thing. But then, of course, if you were to trigger as many as you wanted, you would always be in a disadvantage as well, because then you would have activated all your units, and then probably your opponent could just wipe you out because you have charged forward, you have done all your shit. So I would personally not immediately see. I see there could be events when you could abuse that rule and have several charges in a row, and it could be hard for you if you lose your only hard-hitting tank, for instance, your Königsflottan or something like that you needed to have left. But still, if you had committed 4 or 5 units just charging, and then I have 5 units, I can do whatever I want, and you can't do shit, I will pick off your squads one by one, and I will win the game.
I feel actually the same way, so I don't see a problem with it being able to be used like that. The issue is that it's not clear.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually a bit surprised when I got that answer, that you can't
chain it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Trigger the knockout ability several times there, as long as you choose units that are not activated. I was a bit surprised because with the limitation of only choosing unactivated units, this platoon isn't that strong really. You need to play a lot of these assault units to really get your worth back, and still there are range limitations, and you have to charge the same target, so it's kind of difficult anyway to get some kind of chain going. That's at least my experience with it.
The thought of that platoon is sweet as hell, but trying to implement it in the flesh but it's the allied way.
It's a bit difficult, and it needs some clarifications as well. So
like most of the special allied things, if you get it to work, they're super, but most of the time you need to you brain fart before you can do it. Rhino in general he's a really good hero and everything, and when he comes flying with his boys, he can really dish out some pain. Definitely.
But he is a sort of one-trick pony. So the opponent, if the opponent has ever seen Rhino, he's probably going to realize what's going to happen next. So he will probably at least set up some kind of defense or counter attack or something. So
he's a little bit too easy to defend against. But on the same time, if he weren't easy to defend against, we would have another Winter Child. Because then he could destroy a whole army by himself. So he's on that balance. You feel he should be able to do just a tiny bits more, but just a few inches more, but not that much. I think it's clear what I'm trying to get at. But
all right, final piece of news for this episode: the Endless War has ended.
Yeah,
the Endless War campaign.
Peace in our time. Peace in our time.
No, not really big, but
we will never surrender.
No, but the global campaign season basically has ended, and the results for this and the Endless War part of it basically are going to be included in the Hellgate book. So it's going to be very exciting to see how the world has changed as a result of what players around the world have done. And the studio has also hinted a bit about the next global campaign, which will start with the release of Hellgate, and that campaign will be called Paradise Lost.
It's so fucking sweet actually be able to say that we in Dust now, we're standing at the gates of hell, and we know they're starting to open.
Yeah,
that's where we are right now. It's actually 2 sweet sentences, I think. Well,
looking forward to see what. Of course, Hellgate's going to be super cool, and what this next campaign season, Paradise Lost, is going to include. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Absolutely. All right, let's get over to the thing that we kind of hinted at last episode. We are starting another contest.
Yay!
Woohoo! And this time it's a photo contest.
Snap.
Yes, so we want you to take a photo of a Dust action scene. So basically try to capture the feeling of Dust, or what you interpret the feeling of a Dust game to be. So we want to have at least 2 models from opposing kind of teams in a sort of fighting situation or something. It could be more, of course. You can make a diorama, take a cool snapshot of that if you want to. The photo must also contain a small note with DWJ23 on it, so we know that it's for this contest. I will put up an example on the contest page on the website, so you can check it there. And the big prize, there's also only going to be 1 prize for this. It's going to be, again, a random drawing from every entry. So there's not going to be a judging. So just make a photo with the note and you're in. And we kind of hinted that this is a very, very specific and unique prize.
Yeah.
And what it is the alternate pose Wang Si Wong hero model. So unreleased and not going to be released for several months. It's also special in the way that this is, from what we've understand, kind of a pre-production model. So it's not guaranteed to be exactly the same as the model that is going to be released at a later time.
Yeah, if I understood Paolo correctly, you will be one of maximum 2 persons in the world having this model. It's very small in size. Boy, is it one of the coolest poses I've ever seen from the studio. The quality is superb. And just knowing at least half a year, perhaps 1 year before everyone else, you're playing a girl that is kick-ass, super cool.
Yeah, so this is the hero that will be in the Japanese starter box.
Yeah.
But with an alternate pose. So
so people might have seen it. Of course, there's going to be a picture of it on the contest page. But if you're just listening to this and want to see, if you've seen some of the picture from the Warsaw tournament, basically, it's the hero doing like a flying kick next to a lamppost.
Yeah. Definitely an old school Japanese lamppost from back in the
in the days.
Back in the days from the so basically I was amazed when we got the possibility to give this away to the listeners, and if I could do anything to hijack this competition and just put in a false application under the Scepter name or something, I would do it, because I basically have no morals not trying to get this one myself.
For some reason we got a lot of Swedish guys.
Yeah,
they have some similar names, and
they're from everywhere of the country. Ja.
Är ni klara snart?
Ja, snart. Vi är på slutet nu. Vi är verkligen på slutet. Så.
Håll ut med sen när vi är färdiga.
Ja, det gör vi.
Så, puss på dig, sötnos. No, but seriously, you shouldn't perhaps overstretch this too much, because then people will say, well, that ain't so special. But basically, I know the first prize we gave away, that beautiful Neanderthal or whatever it's called, it was super cool, and I get why people might want that more and wanted that more, but to me this is an even better prize because it's a beautiful model, and I mean, since it's so unique, it's a really collector's object. Basically, this is super cool, and I mean, thank you to Paolo who gave this to us to use.
Thank you very, very much indeed.
Yeah, it's been so nice to us. We can't stress that enough.
And we might actually also hint that in the future we will have, of course, more contests, and we already have some stuff going on there, so keep listening, guys.
The coffin is starting to fill up with nice stuff, so I think you want to stay tuned to the War Journal's podcast in the future.
Absolutely.
Just,
if you want to know more about this specific contest, rules and deadlines and stuff, there's going to be a specific page on the dustwarjournals.com where you can read all the details, you can see the pictures, and you can enter your picture and get all the details there.
Yeah, and I like to just have a tip as well, because we were talking about that before the podcast. When this tournament is, competition is over, if you're holding demo games, why not print those PDF files that will be after with all the pictures, all this nice things that people will put up, and you can have it like some sort of promo. This is how people play the game. This is what you can expect when you play Dust. So,
yeah, that's cool.
All right. So let's get over to mail call. We got a few questions from some of our listeners. Brian Bookstroker asks, what do you do to pimp out your game? And I'm kind of thinking, we talk a lot about painting, we talk a lot about scenery. I'm thinking more that this is kind of thing that most people do. But what are some things that we specifically do that's maybe not connected directly to the models? I'm thinking stuff like we have our own Dust Vikings specific tokens, for instance, for like suppression and under fire. So stuff like that. So that's one of the things that we do. We also, our friend of the show, Ben Langen, also furnished us with some specific dice that are also very, very nice.
Yeah, those are so sweet. I played a lot of games with those dice, and they don't seem to be weighted any special. I don't see that I score better with those. I wish I could have afforded more, because only 12 for me is you run short sometimes when you have a lot of machine guns and stuff. But they're so nice to have. So
those were really cool. A bit too expensive in my opinion, but it's kind of a one-off specials. That could be okay, but hopefully we will be able to make more. I did not tell you guys this, but I haven't really checked into it, but a possible contact that here in Sweden that can actually make these, because with these dice we had to sort of import.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we will be able to make a few more that's a little bit cheaper at least. I'm not going to promise too much because I haven't really looked into it, but I got some really nice, some interesting tips about that.
Yeah, and could that be perhaps because we have a very good guy who hasn't played in a while, but he was been perhaps soaked up in producing his own game. Should we perhaps just give a shout out?
It has something to do with that, yes.
Yeah, because I think that will look really nice, and if you like tabletop games, I think you should check out Järnor on Kickstarter. Swedish brains, actually, for those.
Yeah, an all Swedish kind of cooperative zombie story-driven game.
So it's basically if the zombie
cool.
apocalypse happened in a small Swedish summer resort town.
And it's right now it's up on Kickstarter, and anyone out there,
400% success rate already, or something like that.
It looks like it's going to go really well.
It's been a classic in GothCon, the big gaming convention in Gothenburg, for years. So finally getting an actual release for it, it's really, really cool to see.
So happy for him. You should say.
So let's get back a bit to the question.
And I like to say, though, even if that was perhaps things you did not think about, I like the thing that when Magnus has made it many times, I've tried to duplicate it with the commercial signs on buildings or billboards and stuff like that. Because especially with the one you did, with the stand with the whole square and the billboard, I'm thinking, that really gives you a sense that you're into a real town, that it's a very small thing, but it really heightens.
Small posters and propaganda on the walls of buildings, stuff like that. I agree.
When I read this question, I immediately, of course, thought about terrain. I love making terrain, and there are lots of cool stuff that you can do, but I must also stress that point. Those really small details like posters and other things, they really take the terrain to the next level. And even if the terrain isn't perfect, maybe you put something together fairly quickly. Those small extra details they don't take too much time, and they really make it pop. So that's what I do to pimp out my game, at least. Try to fit in those small details. A few of them I kind of came up with by myself. Not the posters, of course, but it doesn't really matter. You can look around on the internet, steal some cool ideas. There are loads of people doing awesome stuff, both for the Dust game and, of course, for a lot of other games. So just pick and choose from any ideas you can find out there.
All right, next question comes from Loke Borgersen, another friend of the show. Can I play the old FFG scenarios without any adjustments to Dust 1947? I have so many of the scenarios from Antarctica and I love the winter settings. The short answer is no. Not without any adjustments.
Because then you have 12 points against 12 points. That will be quite hard playing.
Because the point scale is just completely different. So that's one of the things that you have to do. The size is a bit different. I think in the old FFG scenarios, the maps are usually smaller than we play in 47. So that will kind of make a difference. There are some specific scenario rules that interact with the rules a bit differently. So you can play them with small adjustments, I think. There might be some weird stuff going on.
Exactly. The first obvious one is the points you have to sort out. And from the top of my head, I think the current scale is something like a third of the old scale.
Almost a third.
Something like that.
It's close enough to a third.
Yeah, exactly. So if the old scenario says 300 points, you should probably be okay playing 100 points in the new.
And now I'm thinking back on the old days because I'm thinking he's talking about the coffin box and stuff like that. Because
that's another difference.
But then you add a 0. And if you think if you like not 12, it's 120 points. And then if you feel that is a bit crowded, do half. You have quicker, easier games. And but basically just add a 0, have a go, have some common sense, and don't flip if something contradicts.
And the second big part I would say is movement, because these days most units have roughly double movement compared to the first edition scenarios. Something like that. It differs, of course, a little bit, but some scenarios you have to reach the scenario and then you win. And if you just play straight up, that could be just too easy for some armies. If you're playing a really fast army, or if you're playing an army with airborne or something like that, it might be too easy. So you have to just think a little bit about that. Maybe move the objectives a bit, maybe play on a bigger surface, maybe impose some kind of restriction that you can't march, move, or whatever. You have to think about that.
Right, next question comes from our fellow podcasters over at Radio Free Sverograd. And they ask, now that we've seen the previews for the Japanese and Pacific Theater, which historical people or vehicles are you hoping will make an appearance? That's a big question.
That's a big question. There are so many cool things that
Yamamoto, the big hangar ship.
Why not? One specific vehicle or unit that I always wanted in Dust is the Shinden, the Japanese kind of reverse jet plane. That is very, very specific, weird look, and I just love it. It feels so weird war. So that's one that I really would like to see in the game.
Yeah, the Japanese had some very different solutions. Basically, their stuff looked very different to a lot of other historical things. So I don't know. I can't really pick any specific, and I'm not too familiar with the Japanese historical like generals and stuff like that. That's not my cup of tea, really. So I don't know, but for the other, the current factions, I mean, there are loads of interesting people that could be released. Different types of, generals or war heroes. I don't know.
Yeah, and I just, for some reason, something just popped into my head when trying to think a little bit creative. I just got a feeling that why wouldn't there be one Japanese biker gang squad I would like to have, inspired by Akira, you know, the manga. And they could be both Japanese punks who join up Japanese army or some strange thing, or they could be mercenaries. Well, like, and then of course they can't have those hype cool bikes that they have in the Akira. But why not a gang of 3, 5 Japanese? Perhaps they have to be 3 because others they take too much space. Or perhaps they are 1 each. I don't know, but something
That's
like...
actually one thing that I've thought about before, just motorbikes in general. I would like to see motorbikes.
Yes. And then just because it's Akira and it's Japan and it's future and it's weird and it's why not some inspiration from that type of thing.
That could be cool.
And of course, next thing is of course the Robotech, but then perhaps one is too it's too great. But I mean, like, I loved because I have the TV series in there when they transmorph the bike to a flying suit. Perhaps you haven't said that the comic as much as I have, but they go by bikes and they push a button and they fly up in the air. It's of course not working.
Transformers.
And they transform into a battle suit. And when they got it, so they fly around and they have a little laser on it and I don't know but inspired by that, because it's rights by Robotech and stuff like that, and so you can't just do that, but perhaps something that they could, perhaps you can morph those to bike gangs and you get bikes with a special high-end laser weapon or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, instead of a sidecar with a person, you have a sidecar with a heavy laser gun or something.
Yeah, something like that perhaps. So two regular bikers and one with a heavy laser or a laser gun, and they could be both. Perhaps it's a dual card with Japanese and with the Mercs, so you can like... I don't know. That is just a few points up there.
Could be really cool. Okay, final question comes from Matthew Hargender. When will we have Steel Guard commissars? No idea. We do know there are some Steel Guards coming up. We have heard hints. Paolo mentioned in the presentation in Warsaw that there is at least one new Steel Guard unit coming up, a close combat specialist squad.
Yeah, they're
with
so sweet.
Tesla stun rods
and
sweet. Jetpacks.
Oh, yeah.
That's just... so it's not... I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility, but it also feels like the commissars are more for the Red Army proper, rather than the Red Guard faction inside the SSU.
Yeah.
So
that's true. On the other hand, we created one of our own unofficial units, and I think it was Canadian Dust guys that created one. So we made like 2. There are 2 unofficial Steel Guard commissars. They are
download on the Vikings side. Yeah,
up on our webpage.
And just be clear so we don't get any unwanted reactions there. The Canadians one did it first. They did a great hero and a great commissar, and we just adapted them to the new rules, and then we also did an extra one. That's true. So,
they are super similar. We've just switched the weapon basically, so you have like 2 options depending on what models you have, what you want to, how you want to convert it, how you want to play it. So. And they work. We have a couple of guys that use them every now and then, and it's fine. So if you want to play Commissar, you could use them, but of course, like we said, they are not official. So you need the opponent's consent or the tournament organizer's consent if you want to use them. So
Yeah, but we can guarantee they are not overpowered or overbalanced or anything. So they are underpowered, so to speak. So if it's only douchebags that wouldn't allow you to play them, and then you don't have to play with those guys. That's I'm sorry, but
like all the I mean, we have put together a few of these unofficial units because it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To have some more stuff to choose from. But the way we do it is that we try to, of course, we try to make them balanced, but also put them on the higher end of the points costs, like basically adding a point to whatever we think the unit is worth. So they will not be overpowered. That's the idea. You can play this if you think it's fun.
Yeah.
Not because they are super good.
And of course, we can make a mistake, and we would love to have comments on it if you think that one of our own cards is overpowered and not
absolutely.
working. But seriously, we do it because we love to see the differences. We want it to be an option for people to use more flavor. It's nothing if you want to win a tournament, other than perhaps you could surprise a person. I know when I had that, chirp, I don't know, the little Russian World War I airplane, it actually perhaps made me win one game in one tournament. Because the opponent was so surprised that it did nothing, and he started shooting at it, and then realized, why the fuck am I shooting at this muppet of a plane? Yeah, this is fucking useless. Why are you having it? Because it's fun, it looks good, and you're shooting at it, stupid. And then I perhaps won the game on that, but
So it's a distraction.
yes, that it could be. I grant you this, but I'm very forceful in my opinion that you won't win the game by the Dust Viking cards if your opponent isn't retarded. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
Yeah, we do the full retard. Because, no, you can never go full retard. That's what we learned from Tropical Thunder.
Yes, that's true.
Sorry, off topic there, but I just had to.
All right. That's basically it for this episode. We are going to make a short mention of the upcoming Dust Nordic 2019. We have booked the venue for it, same as last year, the Falcon Community Center in Gothenburg, Sweden. And the date, as we've mentioned before, is April 13th and 14th, 2019. So mark that in your calendars.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and the website for the event is dustnordic.com. There will be registration. There will be more information about the event coming up at a later date on that site.
Yeah, we'll post stuff as soon as possible when the details are decided. Really,
Yeah.
we are working on those.
And why not also give us a quick shout out to Linköping Days of Dust number 6 in the August 18th, the Saturday there. The next tournament in Sweden that you could look forward to as well.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the upcoming German championship in the fall.
Yeah, what date was that now again? Have they set that, or?
I'm actually not completely sure, but we are going to be looking up that because
We'll have to get back on that.
we have to get back on that. Just mention that it is coming up, and we are very much excited to go. I'm really hoping that I can join
sometime
this time.
October, November-ish.
Yeah. I've tried to get...
We know that it's going to be in Berlin this time. Yeah.
That's why I've also binge watched the... now I'm losing it. The Berlin Station on HBO is a super show about the Cold War in Berlin these days. And also I managed to watch the Atomic Blonde just a few days ago. And that's of course also a good setting to want to go to Berlin and fight it out. So even though it's a little bit more contemporary perhaps.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tournaments coming up for us, and hopefully for everyone else out there, just getting a lot of, not necessarily tournaments, just getting a lot of games and a lot of hobbying done. And as usual, thank you very much for listening from me, Johannes.
And from Magnus.
And always from me, Lotta. I love you, boys.
And until next time, we will see you on the battlefield. Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com.